Not just Europe, China has been facing an extreme heat wave with more hot weather forecast. Well, it's not just Europe feeling the heat. More than 40 million people in the United States are under heat alerts. There have been small wildfires in Texas, and the use of power there and in other central states is expected to break all-time highs in coming days as people turn up their air conditioners. President Biden is expected to outline his next steps to tackle climate change on Wednesday. And here in Asia, China has also been facing an extreme heat wave with more hot weather forecast for the coming weeks. Temperatures could soon reach nearly 42 degrees in parts of southern China, according to the state weather forecaster. Parts of the country have already been struggling with scorching temperatures in recent weeks, with dozens of cities hit with red weather alerts. Well, we can cross live now to Ningbo in the northeast Zhejiang province of China, where I'm joined by Professor Faith Chan from the UK's University of Nottingham. He currently conducts research on urban flood risk management in East Asian megadeltas and coastal cities. It's great to get you on the program, Professor. I just want to ask you what the situation is in China right now.
It's definitely quite hot, and also it's hot been 2 weeks now, and also quite many cities has been over 35 degrees to 40 degrees, like Shanghai, Hangzhou, Ningbo in the East Coast, and also central China like Wuhan, Chongqing as well. So the situation is quite almost the same as UK and Europe.
Professor, you know, every summer we sort of see these high temperatures in China, don't we? But in your experience, have they ever reached these temperatures? And is it getting sort of worse and becoming more frequent in terms of what you've seen in your work?
Yeah, actually, I think the heat wave sometimes comes as well. It's not just this year. It's happening quite many years before, and the situation maybe get more frequent because of climate change. In this occasion, actually, it's because two anticyclonic effects. One is from the west, from Persian Gulf, and the other is from the North Pacific, and comes together and generate the heat wave in China. It's not a rare situation, but I think at my viewpoint, in the future, it may be getting more frequent because of the climate change, and also because of urbanization, that a lot of landscape has been changed from green area to concrete, that the solar radiation is absorbed in the infrastructure to trap the heat in the city. So that's why I think it all happening and comes like that. Yeah.
Professor, we're seeing, you know, the situation in Europe and the UK, how people are struggling to cope there with the wildfires that have been breaking out, real damage and disruption to infrastructure in those areas. What is it like in China? Are people used to this? Are they able to cope?
Definitely, I think in such hot weather, I think everybody is actually the same, because the humidity in the East Coast and also central part of China is quite high. So I think in this part of the world is not happening the wildfire and like the situation as the same as in Southern Europe, but it's very difficult for people to cope in such hot. Elderly people especially is quite difficult at the age over 65, and a lot of areas that people just can live with air conditioning, and also the power generation, and also a lot of people rely on electricity at the moment. So I think it's a very high pressure on the electricity supply, but it's definitely very hard to cope with everybody, especially elderly people.
Indeed, Professor, and I'm glad you brought up the issue of electricity supply, because, of course, that's such a major concern in China for the government there. What are some of the solutions that have been thought of in terms of environmental policies to prevent this sort of thing happening in the future?
Definitely, I think the Chinese government is really concerned about climate change and also committed to work on the carbon neutrality and also make sure China to embrace with the carbon targets. So I think Chinese government is promoting the urban greening, sort of to promote the smart cities, to improve cities' green area, and also try to change their transport system to enforce the electric buses. Now is happening in a lot of major cities. So I think China is doing a lot to take the action to cut the carbon emission in cities and also in the rural area, try to promote more revegetation and promote more green area. And that is the way forward in China.
Right. Professor, you say that, but is it happening fast enough? Because, of course, around the world, China is often seen as a country that has huge responsibility on climate change, but isn't living up to those responsibilities.
I think China has done a lot of work on these because I think it's a huge country with huge populations, and what I can see is Chinese government, they are trying to really improve those areas with legislation and with the action plan in country, in provincial and municipal levels. And what I can see is like they are really taking care on promoting the clean energy and also try to implement that in the transport system. I can see a lot of changes during this year. So I think, and also I can see the commitment to promote smart city and want to improve the green area in the city area. They understand the urban heat island effect and things like that. So I think in the future that should be positive, and they commit with the Kyoto Protocol and carbon emission reduction as well. I think they are trying to reach the target as fast as possible, and that's what I can see.
Professor Faith Chan there, Associate Professor in Environmental Studies, the University of Nottingham, Ningbo, China, where he's currently speaking us from. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.